Hi, I am Centimus Prime, and here I'll be showcasing the second part to my LEGO dynazenon MOC, and this is Dyna Diver. Now, first and foremost, I'll be showing you the details and design. Now, first, I think the most logical place to start would be the front. Now, the front, there's not really a whole lot to talk about. You have like little orange, translucent orange pieces to represent the little bridge areas. You have like these big old round green, I'm assuming, lights or headlights, or I think. Now, the front here is very thin and kind of yeah, it's very thin. Moving back, you can see like there's a massive ball joint there sticking in the middle. Up here you have those weird little fin things that Dyna Diver usually has. Over here is a little binocular piece thing. Now I used more of them black ingot pieces for more texture. Under here, now moving back, you can see that there's a little bit of landing gear here that can fold up. There's really no need for this thing to fold up because there's kind of these things in the way, but I'll get into those later. Now here's the underside of it. I did put in a lot of red for the underside of this build. Now here I did build like these little fin things on the side. Now, looking up at top, you see back here you get a little bit of detail back there. Get some yellow panels up here. Over here on the side you get like a nice like top half black and bottom half red sort of thing. Kind of reminds me of those old those big ships with the red on the bottom. You have these little black bricks here on the side, so to represent more of that detail. Up here, get these get a nice row of these gray panels. Back here, you do get some turbines, because this is basically supposed to be a submarine, which, if you know, you know. I do want to mention that over here, because of the limited parts I had, that you can see that here you have a little bit of a cut through the middle, whereas on this side it's more vertical. That's because I used like different parts on each side because I didn't have enough of either of those parts, so I just made do with what I had. Now you do get like more nice little gray details, such as up here. It's pretty nice. Here it is. Here they are from the front. You do get these little slits here, looking at it from this angle. It's not too bad. Down here you do get a bunch of these little, you do get a bunch of these yellow parts, and these can be a little bit finicky and flimsy. All that. Oops. I can bend these down to show you more of the detail, that juicy detail. So here's more of that detail. You can see more red parts, some gray armor, some gray structures in there. It's really not a whole lot going on down there. But I did put in a lot of details to make it look like a Dyna diver. Now let's go into like articulation pieces and features and stuff. Now I'm not gonna like feature like all of the articulation points until later on, but I will show off some of it. First of all, with the landing gear. The landing gear is on a ball joint. You can fold it up, although I'm not really sure why you would do that. It does look nice, but there are these like little things back here. These like big things back here. But if they truly bother you, they can easily come off like so. Now it looks, so we have that look going on. But I'll just go ahead and put these sections back on. That's a simple option. Okay, so that's on the ball joint. The fins up here, because they're on hinges, they can hinge up and down individually. So you do have like posability options there. On these fins over here, on these fins down here, they can hinge up and down. They can hinge down about that far, and they can hinge up to about that far. Pretty interesting. These can flip up and around, can flip up, but I'll explain what those are for in a second. Obviously, the little turbines can rotate freely. These are honestly very finicky. And finally, do have these panels, which can each individually open up to reveal. It honestly reveals red studs, but they're supposed to represent the Dyna burst missiles. Now, the details ain't perfect, but I feel like it gets the job done well enough. And you can like pose these things around. And I think that looks nice. Like opened up like that. And then just imagine like these shooting out. I did try doing a few things to like try to have these so these missiles can actually fire. But like like because of what these sections have to do and with what space I had to work with, I really couldn't do that. So that's really the best I could for this build, at least for now. I will mention that this build, this MOC, is pretty dense. Like, it does have a bit of heft. It does have a bit of weight to it. I will say it's easily I will say out of the 4 components I made for dynazenon, Dyna Diver is easily the heaviest and most dense component. Weight-wise, yes, this is pretty nice and dense. And with that, I feel like we should move on to the size comparison. First and foremost, here is Dyna Diver next to a minifigure, a simple Miles Morales minifigure. And let's just put him up there. Now, it doesn't really scale well because this is supposed to be like the bridge or something. It's obviously not really in scale. But nonetheless, it's still pretty big. Here he is next to my custom Centimus Prime custom paint job using the Siege mold. Here he is next to a fellow Dyna soldier. That's how those two compare. They're both pretty large. And last, but most certainly not least, here is my Lego Dyna Diver next to the Moderoid Dyna Diver. Here, and you can obviously see a pretty significant size difference. But we can go over through the details real quickly. Starting with the front, now the first thing I don't think I tried to, but I don't think I was able to recreate this gray stripe. I remember like trying to do like a couple different things, but it didn't seem right. And also, this is very like dome-like and rounded, and also a bit pointy at the end. Has a bit of a point at the end. Whereas this one is much thinner. It has a bit of a curve to it, and it's very flat in the front. Looking at these little fin things up here, you can see that unlike the obvious V shape of this one, solid shape of this one is like broken apart with like a pair of little Lego binoculars in the middle. So there's that. So here are the two from the top. And you can see that unlike the Moderoid one, so like these like little gray panels missile panels. The ones on my MOC are much closer together. You do get some green details back there, and they're back here as well. However, opening these up, you do get like little like gray, little like sections to separate the missiles from each other. Mine simply doesn't have that. You see that there's really nothing separating these missiles apart. And here on the back, you see the little turbines. That there are turbines on the Modroid one, but they are incredibly tiny. Whereas these ones, they're big and they can rotate and stuff. And as for the bottom, it's really not a whole lot here. Do see that you get like this big like banana for the landing gear, whereas this one is just a small yellow piece on a ball joint. It does have these yellow spikes here on the, get these like yellow claw things on the back. And on this one you do have like little stickers that like give a little shade of red on the underside of these fins. Mine doesn't have that, but mine do articulate, and these ones don't. So that'll be it for that comparison. Now something else that this thing can do is it can combine. Sorry, it's a little bug. You know how the flies can be. Anyways, this can also combine with Dyna Soldier. Man, that fly is pestering me. Oh well. So anyways, these two can combine. Well, using the term combine kind of loosely. So, for this combined form, first thing is to flip these yellow panels up. Next, take down a soldier. Now you can utilize that nice joint to make it look like he's aiming directly upwards. You can bend up the arms and straighten up the legs and slightly close these claws so they're more aiming towards that way. Then what you can do is basically rest this thing up, rest on top there, and basically have it so it looks like he's holding the little handles on these little yellow panels. And there you go. Combination between Dyna Soldier and Dyna Diver. It's okay. This is obviously just Dyna Soldier just just holding on for dear life on to Dyna Diver. And unfortunately, he can't, because these clunky hands, he can't even hold the handles on. And that's because I've, and that's basically because I've basically like integrate this before I changed the design on hands. So what it was like was had these hands off, and originally I had these hands on for Dyna Soldier. They're simple little minifigure like hands. They do look pretty lame on the arms. He looks like he has tiny hands. But the benefit that these hands do have is the fact that they can at least hold and grab on to these little sections. It's a thing that these two can do. And this is easily just like a last minute sort of, well, not really, but whoops, there's obviously no place to put the, oh my goodness. This is simply an unstable combination. And for a little bit of a fan like combination, a little bit of doing this for like a little bit of extra transformation. Just opening these panels up. If you're not careful, these can come off. Little doors. Attaching this back on. And now you get the combination, but with the missiles open up and ready to fire at the enemies. Or Dyna Soldier. Now the official combination for this never shows these doors open. This is probably why. Anyways, I have had just about enough of this little combination. Let's just fix this up. Close this up. Close these little panels up. These panels can also rotate a bit, but they can also come off. So, something else I would like to mention on this MOC is, like, if you remember from me, like, showing you the Dyna Soldier showcase, like, I had to modify this guy because I didn't want to heavily rely upon, like, specialized non-Lego parts, like unofficial Lego parts. This guy I did. Now for this guy I did heavily modify so it doesn't heavily rely upon those parts, but still using some of them. Now, these parts, such as these panel things up here on what would be the thighs, I would guess, because it's pretty obvious. This thing is pretty obviously a pair of legs. And these parts back here, like, let me show you, like, these parts, like, taking off these sections. These parts, Lego doesn't make. These are pretty, non-official Lego pieces. But I've already, like, modified the ones that are, like, for the transformations and are structurally important. I've already, like, changed up the engineering a little bit so it doesn't require those parts. But I still have, like, parts like this, mainly because of the lack of parts in my lack of the right pieces in my collection. But you can, like, take these parts off and, like, replace them with official alternatives, such as these much more rounded pieces. Now, this is obviously, like, a couple of these attached on one of these 1x2 pieces. That's pretty simple. I have 2 of them built. Really needs 4, but I don't have enough of the right pieces to make 4. You can attach it onto here. Attach this back on. And here is a basic, like, bottom comparisons. You can see that this is, like, pretty round, and it does look pretty nice. I think it looks nice. But because of the lack of the right pieces I have, I'm pretty much stuck with using these. This thing it's Lego, so of course it loves to fall apart. Alright, so, man, switching out parts on the go, really finicky. So, with that, I think that'll be it for this video. I do have videos for the other 2 components on the way. And all that. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider to like and subscribe, and maybe even comment if you want to. And yes, I will be posting again sooner or later.